coming Saturday, it's good to know about that because then you can inform prospective students even better. So that's why I'm going to tell you something about that. And it's quite a lot of information, so I will send you the PowerPoint afterwards as well. But now you also have the opportunity to ask some questions because I can imagine that it takes a while to really understand what's going on. So what's the idea? From next year onwards. Huh?
They're gonna go take a chair.
Oh, chairs. Yeah. From next year onwards, we're going to start implementing a new curriculum. So that means that courses will look different from this year. And that means that there's quite a lot of changes ahead.
Er staan stoelen achterin.
Hello.
Yes. And who else? Charlotte?
Charlotte cannot be present. She's at the trade.
Okay.
Okay, so Larissa, there are some chairs over there. Yeah. So to start with, now you know, like each year is 4 blocks. From next year onwards, there will be 6 blocks, of which 5 will have lectures in them, and the sixth block is just a resit block. So as you can see here, now the teacher me comes alive again. So here you see all the different blocks. So you have 5 blocks of teaching, and in those 5 blocks you will be, or the prospective students, if they choose to come here, they will be taught based on 3 different learning tracks: international business, personal readiness, and the languages. So that means that we have a business component in there, a component of personal development and all the skills like you have now with communication, the presentation skills, or what you have with your study career coaching, more the time management skills. That sort of stuff will also all be in the personal readiness track, and the languages will still be 2 different languages. Well, all resits in block 6. So this is what it's going to look like. So here are the block numbers, here are the block names, so these are the themes that will be discussed, and here's the duration of the block. So you see in block 1, the theme is Introduction to Business, and that means that all business subjects will be integrated in one course, and it's all about just introducing how an organization, how a business works. And the languages will add to that in the target language. And also the personal readiness module that will be in there will add to that. So that's quite vague still, but I will elaborate on that later on in this presentation. As you can see, we have 2 blocks starting 7 weeks of classes, 1 test week. Then we have a small block, 3 weeks of classes, 1 test week, and then again two times 7 weeks of classes, 1 test week, and then at the end all the resits take place. So then all students of the first year from next year onwards have 1 week to study for all the resits they have to take from that year. So it's really important to pass the first time, because otherwise you have like lots of work to do just before summer break. So that's a major change compared to what you know now.
So the people who do not have resets have like 4 weeks extra.
Well, yeah, they're done in May.
Okay.
But that's only for the first year students of next year, so this doesn't hold true for you.
Mm.
Of course.
Unfortunately.
Sad.
So, to start with the languages, there's a major change there. We always wanted people to start one language at a higher level than the other language. Now students have to start a language at a higher level. So you will immediately start one of the languages in level 3. Which language that is, we You can still choose, obviously. If students are afraid that they will not be able to enter at that level, you can advise them to do different things, but they at least should meet these standards in order to start in that language.
So it's basically just high school level
Yes, indeed.
or any kind of certificate that has A2 on it, basically.
Yeah, basically. So if students don't have that, or prospective students, you can advise them to have like language schooling during summer break, or maybe go on an internship, or have a student job abroad in the language they wish to follow up at a higher level. So that's what we actively advise prospective students now. So it's a lot of text here.
I've already been telling students this for the past 2 weeks.
Really good.
Yeah, because I told them already,
Yes.
of course. The major language changes we already discussed, but now we get it more, like on paper. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
And also, you start one language at a higher level. You already knew that. You cannot be native in that language that you started, or follow in what level. It doesn't matter. You cannot do that. And you will have one language on an A1 level, so that's starting level. And for the international students, it's obligatory to choose Dutch as that language. So it's not like it is now that foreign students have a mandatory elective in Dutch, but their other language, their second language in the IBL curriculum is Dutch.
Okay, so you have to choose an A2 level for another language.
Indeed.
Okay.
They cannot go and choose Dutch as their A2 level language if they had like Dutch
No.
before.
Okay.
So
But they could, like, for example, you are always allowed to choose another language.
Still.
You know,
Yeah.
still, yeah. If yeah. So
third
also for the
language.
international students, but you also need to study Dutch.
By the way, it's still only German, French, Spanish, I don't know, rumors, but also Russian and Italian.
No, that's
Well,
only
IBMS.
for IDMS.
Yeah, and that's
Okay,
what
so-
we aim for in the long run, but we
Not
cannot
for
implement
next
that
year.
from next year onwards.
Okay.
So that's the main thing for languages. So there's quite a lot of change there.
Are they still allowed to choose 2 languages on A2 level? Because it's done. I mean, I've heard a lot of people doing that.
Well, I cannot promise you that right now, because that has major implication for the schedule. And we cannot, well, we don't have insight at this moment on what the schedules are going to look like. And why that is the case, I will tell you that later on. But we don't know anything about how many lectures we are going to give in one particular week, because that might vary. As you heard from IBMS students as well, sometimes they have like a lot of lectures in one week, and the other week they have almost none. And then it would be really hard to schedule both of those languages. So, international business. You now have different courses: marketing, economics, communication, management, that sort of stuff. All of that will disappear from next year onwards. So what you just saw in the former slides with the themes, for instance the international business theme, that's what all the subjects connect to, but you don't have the different subjects as a course anymore. So if you have a 7-week block that's about international business or the organization, then you will have lectures on economics with regard to that topic, on management with regard to that topic, with communication with regard to that topic. So it is all integrated, and the test will be about all those subjects connecting to that topic. So that's quite different.
So if I understand correctly, the subjects are still separate. So you have economics, you have marketing, but it is aimed at a certain topic.
No,
The test is combined.
you have one module, as we call it then, with a team, and all the subjects will connect to that, but the subjects aren't offered separately. So they're part of that course. So you have to pass the test, and then you pass like all the parts that add to that course.
But then I think you ask, is it one big test at the end?
Yes.
Yeah,
Or is it, that's
It's
what
one
we-
big test at the end. So at the end of the block, you have one test which involves all the subjects that you were taught.
Yeah. But
How would you see this? Because is that going to be a test of 5 hours or something? What's the idea?
Yeah,
I'm
well,
I'm just
that's
wondering.
something that we're working on now.
Yeah.
But for instance, it could be a written test with a case, and then you have to answer
Multiple questions on marketing.
multiple
economics, and
questions on the
everything.
different subjects with regard to that case, which
Right.
is of course connected to the theme.
But then you also get one grade. Sorry. Yeah, no problem. Isn't there an opportunity that you will lose the more or less the depth of the subject for communication when you now learn something when you really know the models and more in depth, and then when you integrate it, then you have some bits of communication and not really getting
In depth.
Yeah.
So what will happen is that you will lose some insight for the different subjects, but you will gain more insight in how a business actually works.
Okay.
That's the idea. And when you connect it like to the full year, you will still have like the total overview of most of the subjects that you need for the second year.
And you first.
Yes. What about the grade? Is the grade then they look at all aspects separately and see if you passed all of them, and then they make up one grade, or is it just one grade for the whole test? And it doesn't matter if you failed economics but did communication excellently.
The latter one.
Okay.
However, there will be, of course, like a certain weight to each part of the test. So that's how you can correct for that. And now you have the same thing going on. When you just pass a course with a 5.6, you didn't meet all the standards that we set for you as well. So it's like just a different way.
And you still do have the different teachers then.
Yeah,
Good,
so
yeah.
then it's like this week you will have class of this teacher, and then next week it will be that teacher.
So I think it's more team teaching.
Yes. So then you have teams of teachers who collaborate to give you some insight in that theme.
And is it going to be that teachers that do not teach a certain subject are going to teach a certain subject? Or am I getting confused? right now? Because
I'm not sure.
you say
of what
this
you mean.
teacher's going to be this week.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's I know
Yeah.
what you mean.
So-
And if you only have one teacher for a full week, first off, I would go completely mad. But no offense to the teachers, but
Yeah.
then you'll only be focusing, for example, only on marketing. But then say, is that going to be one teacher also doing economics in the same week? Is it going to
Well-
be repeated? Because as far as I know, you learn by repeating something.
Mhm.
So the fact that we have certain subjects every single week actually works.
Yeah.
Yes. I see your point, and the thing is, I cannot answer that question properly right now,
Right.
because we know what we're going to do in general,
Mm.
but the actual courses are developed during this block and the next block.
Right.
So who is going to teach when, what the test will look like exactly, that sort of stuff, I cannot tell you that at the moment because we don't know yet.
Yeah.
But is there sort of a deadline? Will it be like block 3 or block 4? Because we have to inform our upcoming students as well.
Yes.
And I think we'll get the same question.
Yeah.
Okay, how will it
As far as I know, for giving the presentation, at the moment we of course have the new presentation, and what we say is that in general, of course, everything that we tell them stays the same. It's only the way that they receive the information on a certain subject that it will not be called economics and you'll have it 8 weeks in a row, but it's called this and you'll have it together with other things.
Yeah, but it's also
So-
for the open day because students are coming to you.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's I already had students last week, and what I tell them is at the moment they are really working on the curriculum, and everything that we tell them in the general view of all the subjects that you will learn and all the knowledge that you'll get and all the things that you'll do will stay the same. It's just that the way it's going to be taught to